don't have the same romance people have with good.
Yeah.
For me, I've had more bad lead me to good than good lead me to bad. So I don't have that romance when it comes to what is good and what is bad. Like some of the people that have hurt me and injured me and like offended me are some of the reasons why I'm here today. You know, so it's like all things for me happen for me. And I believe in that. Like totally. It's all happening for me.
So, I hit you up in a DM.
Yeah.
And I said,
Come on, man.
bro, I'm trying to put this thing together.
Yeah.
And I need you on there.
Come on.
And you was quick. You was like, yes.
Come
yes,
on.
Yes, yes.
Turn around.
You know what? This guy's one of the real ones.
Come on, man. We're here for it.
Not everybody's interested in kind of making things work in the community and
Yeah.
kind of changing the perspectives. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do right now. Do you know what I'm saying? Just trying to, us as men, especially black men, sometimes you only get one perspective. And in every situation, there's multiple perspectives. And not only the perspectives between like us and society and us and our families, but internally we're battling with different perspectives. Like you just said, you went to the door, the you know what I'm saying? So
100%.
you got to make sure that everybody can see that there's multiple perspectives and things, and we're just trying to become better people, become better men. So thanks for coming out.
No, pleasure.
You know,
thanks for having me.
And kind of one of the first things I just kind of just want to ask you, like, so if I was to ask you, who's Karl Lokko, what would you say?
Wow, big question. Who's Karl Lokko? I'm a fighter.
Yeah.
I definitely am. I'll definitely say fighter. But I think like the two ain't mutually exclusive. I'm a lover too. You know, they usually say it's either or, but no, I'm a lover. I love hard.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's what enables me to fight hard. You know, so I'd say fighter, lover, and
what would other people say if I asked them who's Karl Lokko?
a doer.
Duo.
Yeah.
Do you think the perspective you have of yourself is different to that of what people have of you?
No, not really. Yeah, I think people kind of see that I love hard and I fight hard too. Yeah, it's been a theme. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Has it always been like that?
Always been like that.
Even
Always.
from way back in the day.
Early.
So if we're gonna go back way back in the day, coming from areas that we come from, sometimes you're just kind of thrown out there just to make your way, right?
Yeah.
So if I was to say to you, take me back into who you were at, let's say, 10 to 15, and who were those major influences that shaped the person you are today?
Between 10 and 15, yeah? 10 and 15, I'll say my pops for sure. He was still in there, yeah? My dad was quite hands-on. I had a good father, still have a good father. Good man. So my pops is in there from about 10. And he's actually part of the reason why I wanted to be a forensic pathologist. You know, because when I was 10, all he would watch is murder detective shows. That ain't changed. He still does that. You know, so that's kind of where I got that initially. I kind of learned my conflict resolution from him also. You know, so we grew up in an area where there was a lot of happenings. You know, and a lot of things were happening to me and my brother. You know, so whenever something would happen, he would be my first point of call. I tell my pops that listen, this happened, blah, 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 blah. And my dad was a gent. He still is, true gent, you know? He'd be like, all right, no worries, you calm down. Let's go over, speak with their parents, see what's happening, you know, and hopefully we can ensure that that don't happen again. And I rocked with him until it stopped working. You know what I mean? Yeah, it stopped working.
It wasn't working outside.
You know, it wasn't effective like that, you know? So, I mean, like, in terms of the 10 to 15, I feel like the biggest kind of pivot was around 11, 12, where I made a decision that I am going to be a gang member.
Yeah.
I am going to provide the immunity I wanted to experience for all those associated with me.
Yeah.
You know, I am going to bite the bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, 10 to 15 obviously saw that. I'll call it a perversion,
Yeah.
actually. So it all kind of go, because at 10, 11, I was diagnosed a child genius. I was doing my year 9 SATs in year 6, you know, so it wasn't like the road that we had envisioned, but yeah, I thought it was necessary, so we got to it.
You could see that change from the influence from your dad being an influence to somebody or something.
Absolutely. I mean, it was the Ooters, those that were doing the bootings in my community. Those were who I hallowed. They were gods to me as far as I was concerned.
So from there, the roles are influencing you.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you then make that transition from that to something else? So if I was to if I was to say Pastor Mimi, what would you say?
I'd say South London's Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
Yeah. She did the damn thing properly. Yeah. I mean, she is the picture of resilience. You know what I mean? Just someone that's bitten something that is bigger than what they can actually chew and swallow, but chewed and swallowed it anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when she reached out to us, she thought we were like stealing phones and smoking ganja. This time we had submachine guns in her dog home. Like it was a totally different thing, you know? Like, so like she literally she really, I mean, I have huge respect for her. But I mean, it's funny because there's a parallel going on, yeah? So I subscribed to what I subscribed to about the age of 12, yeah? Ended up making my own gang, blah, 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 blah. Made the front page of every newspaper in the country for like 2 weeks consecutively when I was like 14.
Yeah.
At the time, that was just free PR, you know? That being said, rode that wave. It went from bad to worse. We got lively, active, you know, activities, things were happening, you know? So we're sustaining injuries, others are having injuries sustained. It's just life. It's going in that kind of circle. But that being said, I'm in an environment where everything is just exaggerated.
Yeah.
So like, if you don't read the room right, you can lose your life. I mean, like literally. So you're having to get really quite good at reading. You know, so like, I was also 12 years old and leading like technically about maybe 50 other young men about my age. And I wasn't incentivizing them via like maybe paying them or, you know, employment, you know. So I had to find other ways to cultivate that kind of like loyalty and commitment from them and to keep energies up and flowing in a certain direction, you know. So why I mention that is because there is a parallel where you're asking me, how did I get from that to there to here? But that did provide me with an informal classroom that I don't advocate anyone goes through. Like, forget that school, you know, if you can drop out and if you can just never enroll, you know what I mean? But that being said, like, I learned a lot there and I use those learnings here. Like for me I used to be on the outside of a door and we're kicking down this door. You don't know what's on the other end of this door. You know, but it's all underworld kind of like dynamics, nuances. So there could be a lot behind that door. So when I'm like getting in an elevator and I'm going up to whatever it is, the 30th floor, and I'm about to pitch, I don't really care what's coming up when the door's open. I just walk in there and I pitch. You know, like it's
don't
just.
Don't you find that from coming from that life and then having to transition into something else, you're now having to stop being a professional at something that you're good at. Now you're stepping into a room where you're a learner. That transition is not easy for people.
Nah, it's the zero.
Nobody wants to go from being the top guy to being a learner.
Agreed.
How did you do that?
Do you know what it is? I live in my own vortex, you know. Oh man, I'm delusional. Been the case. Like I knew I was gonna be like top boy on my estate. I knew it from when I was getting bullied. Like I knew it. From when I'm hiding like coins in my socks,
Yeah.
you know, because I'm scared that the other kids are going to take it from me. I knew. I was like, once I made my mind up and I committed to that, like, that was going to happen. You know, so for me, it's more around, I spend more time looking at the image of me in my mind's eye rather than the reflection that, you know, everyone else was kind of seeing. So even though I would enter rooms where I was getting zero treatment, like, you know, it's real, it's a real thing. Like, you can't, no vortex is gonna skew that. That's the reality. You're getting zeroed, you know what I mean? But I was like, it's temporary. You know, I just kept on seeing it as temporary, and I'm someone that will give myself voluntary to pain. Like, that is my, like, I don't have much superpowers. I can volunteer myself for hardship if it means that it's gonna create something. So I just kind of volunteered myself. I knew it would take 10 years too. I knew it. Maybe if I thought it would take 5 years, it might have taken me 5. But in my mind's eye, it was like, all right, cool. Everyone overestimates what they can do in a year and underestimates what you can achieve in 10. If I can give the craziest ambition, that craziest kind of like picture for myself, and in 10 years, I can achieve that if I keep on it, you know? So even though I was being zeroed in those rooms, I kind of kept that kind of hero, like, picture in my mind, went towards it, and each time I got closer to that, it just kind of like cemented I was doing the right thing. But you can't escape, like, to your point. You can't, unless you're willing to be able to lose that one there to now, like, to get a new one. Nah, it's not happening. It takes the loss for the gain.
Because you know what it is, a lot of people are going to see that and think, listen, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And even when you do get to that point, do you ever find yourself having like imposter syndrome when you're thinking, I shouldn't be here right now?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I can't lie. Like, yeah, but I had imposter syndrome from the roads too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's not who my parents brought up. Like, I became a demon. Like, but I wasn't one. Like, my parents, like, my mother breastfed me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she gave me, like, you know what I mean? My father, like, nestled me, you know? Like, the teachers, everything was kind of framed for me to go in a certain direction, you know? But my environment kind of required something else. So I responded. But if I'm being honest, for a long time, like I describe it in my TED talk, I say it's like putting on a mask every day. And then when I come home, I take off that mask because I don't need it at home. And then one day I came home and I'm taking off the mask and it just couldn't budge. Like, I had become that person. So I feel like until you kind of like really occupy a certain space, like for real, on your way there, you're going to have imposter syndrome. So I had it there. So when I had it here, I didn't really care, you know, because I knew that imposter syndrome, this means I'm imposing into a place that maybe I weren't in prior, you know. But eventually when the imposition is done, then there's no imposter. I'm just here posted, you know what I mean?
Do you ever find yourself going back?
Nah. I mean, mentally a million times. Like, I've dished out justice a million times in my mind. So, you know, one of those films where you have the alternate kind of
just switches back to, oh,
literally, like, I've seen it in my mind's eye a billion times. I've dished out cold justice because I mean, I ain't forgotten how. Like, I know how to. Like, that's not nothing difficult for us. Like, I know how to spin. You know what I mean? So it's like, in my mind, sometimes I'm like, should just spin this. But it doesn't serve. I want to play on the main stage. You know what I mean? In the mainstream, you know? So that doesn't translate, you know?
All right, so I'm going to throw some words out during the interview. And I just want you just to speak about what resonates with you when I throw those words out, right? So let's say old friends.
The block.
The block.
The block. But some of them are still my friends today, but yeah.
New friends.
Uptown.
Is that, which one's you? Or is it a bit of both?
Which one's new?
Which one is you?
Which one is me? Oh, no, I'm both. I'm both. Yeah, I can use all my forks.
So we're trying to like all of the forks.
And all my knives.
Yeah.
But we don't need to.
So
FYI, I'm joking. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah. So why I say that is because the elevation took place within yourself.
Yeah.
But it affected everybody around you.
Yeah.
So did you find that as you was trying to move on and get into new circles and eat at new tables, your old friends, how did that work?
You know what? Again, the stars aligned for me. I've been very fortunate. You know, for someone that come from an immense disadvantage, I've been super fortunate in that disadvantage. You know, it's like, so for example, when I was coming off for the roads, I was at the top of my game. So most characters didn't even believe me. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, no, like for me, I ain't on any of that. They're like, they're just not hearing that. They don't believe. They've seen a consistent narrative for a long time. So me telling them, like, vocalizing that, for them, they weren't buying it. So I was still being, you see that zero treatment that we're talking about. I wasn't getting zero treatment. Even after I denounced it, because everyone kind of still knows me as X, you know? So there was that. And then eventually when it became apparent to people that, no, he's really not like active in that way no more. He's denounced this for real, for real. Like my best friend is like Brixton's demon, you know? So then they're like, all right, I still don't want to do too much RE locks because my man's gonna spring into action and we know he's an action man, so we don't want that. You know what I mean? So then that gave me a bit more runway. And then I was very fortunate in terms of my faith to just see love as the most powerful thing on earth. Like I believed it, you know? So I just went to those that have every right to want to put me in the ground and told them I love them and I'm sorry.
How did that work? Sorry.
Literally.
How did that work in terms of roads to church? Because you see when you want to do that, people are like, what's my man saying? He's not.
Yeah.
All right, 2 months, he'll be back,
Yeah.
How did that work? And how did that elevate?
I mean, by making sure that in 2 months I weren't back.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good place to start. You know, I just kind of committed to it. Like I just stayed there. And it hurt. Like, it hurt. I couldn't, like, there'll be times I would be, like, I would cry myself to sleep. There's a difference when you know what to do and can't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's my man. It's a blender.
Yeah.
Like I'll be sat down with my comrades that we will make this journey together. We'll be on the kitchen floor crying, all of us, just bawling like kids. Like,
because you know what?
It's got to be violent.
Don't realize, especially when you jump into action.
Yeah.
And then you have a moment of peace after, and you're like, why did I do that? I didn't want to do that. But
absolutely.
You can't stop yourself from doing that.
A minute of madness, a lifetime of sadness.
And it's painful.
Yeah.
And it's painful.
Yeah.
So those around you, were they influenced by the change as well?
No, totally. Yeah. There was a few that came with me. And then in terms of just in general, like what people don't understand is that we're not the tabloids.
Yeah.
We're not the headlines. We're not feral. Like I sat down, these are my friends.
Yeah.
Rational human beings. Fair enough, they don't rationalize how you rationalize. And what you might deem irrational is just, you know, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. You know,
you've seen these
same coin.
Vulnerable positions.
100%.
It's not always
No. And I spoke to them vulnerably. I was like, listen, my mum begged me to stop this. I never. You know, the ops when they were on, I never stopped. You know, the police when they got my picture. They got my picture. They got me and my friends' pictures in the Brixton police station, Kenton police station. I mean, all the lamps. They got our pictures. You know, like that. When that was happening, we never stopped. And I never stopped. So, but now I don't believe in it. I'm gonna have to stop.
But God made you stop.
Yeah, because I don't believe in it. I'm believing that God is showing me that that's not the definition of winning, for one. And the young men that I'm calling my enemies ain't actually my enemies. It's the ideology. Like, that's the real enemy. You know, it's just got people living in the same socio-economic situation as myself. Even there's cultural semblance. And just like, we might even live on the same road. Some of them went to my primary schools. And then now we're saying, oh, because of this and because of that, or because you live there and I live there, that now, it just didn't make sense to me no more. So I had to leave it.
And when that happened, was it like, because you know some guys are going to want you to come back. Did you have to cut them off? Or is it something that you always want to stay connected and see if you can bring them?
Do you know what it is? I think they're going to tell a different story. For me, I spent a long time. I was a broken record for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Saying that, listen, there's more for us. We need to cut. We need to all go. We should all come this way. But I don't know whether I presented them all with the pathway they needed. You know, because some might be like, oh no, you know what? Like at that time, the vehicle I was using was a church initiative.
Okay.
So they would probably be like, oh no, but I'm Muslim or I'm this or I'm that. So maybe they didn't feel that way. But in terms of like just the positive direction, the fact that we can spin the mainstream, like we can do it. Like, some of them heard me, some of them didn't. If you ask them whether I maybe gave it enough time, maybe they'll tell you no. Some might tell you yes. You know, but for me personally, I think I did enough. I tried. It's only that now when certain things pop up and they see the situation I'm in today, not all of them, mind you, like no generalizing, sorry, but some of them are like, oh no, you see Locks just kind of just flipped it and then sorted himself out. I'm like, that weren't the case. Because when I was doing that zero in, and it weren't looking so attractive, and you know, we're driving cars I couldn't afford at that time now, you know, and then all of these things are happening. Now that I can do it legitimately, it's all looking a bit more attractive, but it didn't look like this initially, so yeah.
You sit back and even just looking back at your life, looking at maybe some of the things you've done, some of the people you've hurt. Do you sit back sometimes and feel as though you can make amends for some of the situations that you may have played a hand in?
No,
No.
I don't believe in that. That's for fairy tales. Like, it's like, when it's like you can't unsee, unhear, unfeel. When it's done, it's done. You know, like you can contribute more. Like, let's say, I don't know, I was a thief and I stole a bike, and then I worked like well and then hard and got 100 bikes and then gave them to people that needed bikes.
But internally, can you see that you've done something wrong? Like, how does it work in terms of you've done something? Because, for example, me, I know I've hurt some people, you know, and it's not that I think about it, but I continuously think, how can I not repeat those same mistakes?
Okay, no, on that front, yes. On that front, yes. But I don't have the same romance people have with good. For me, I've had more bad lead me to good than good lead me to bad. You know what I mean? So I've had more bad lead me to good and good that's led me to bad. So I don't have that romance when it comes to what is good and what is bad. Like, some of the people that have hurt me and injured me and like offended me are some of the reasons why I'm here today. You know, so it's like all things for me happen for me, and I believe in that, like, totally. It's all happening for me. So, like, on some level, I feel like what kind of ever offense or whatever I dished out to a character, that, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it might have even contributed to something that they might need to learn or do. But I mean, all in all, that doesn't mean that you're omitted from the bad you do, you know, because bad is bad. I get that, but I don't really think about that like that. I'm like, my aim is what I'm doing moving forward, or not even moving forward, where I'm at now. Like, I try to be present as much as possible. The past for me don't really do too much in that regard. No.
So there's a quote here that says, rock bottom isn't when you lost everything, it's when you decide to change, right?
Rock bottom isn't when you lost.
So
Okay.
rock bottom isn't when you're at your worst.
Yeah.
It's when you decide to change.
Got it.
When do you think you was at rock bottom, and what was your mindset in that particular moment?
It depends. What change are you talking about?
You've had multiple.
I've had a lot of changes,
yeah.
mate. I can't lie. I gotta be honest.
So what was the bottom that was like, you know what, this is it.
This is it.
And this is the path I'm gonna go down. And whatever the cost, whatever I have to pay, whoever I have to lose, this is what I'm gonna do.
I mean, I would refer to it as a quality decision. For me, a new decision is a new season. Yeah. And if I am making a quality decision, I tend to commit to it. You know, so it's like, but sometimes it can be trivial. Like, I don't want to paint some big picture. You know, sometimes it's like, no, all the pain in the world, like sickness in the family, or, you know, like, something like that. That can provoke me to change. And other times I could just see something and I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm over this. You know, and then
because a lot of people want to make it down like it's a pivotal point in like something dramatic happens.
Nah.
And then you're like, you know what? But for you, you're saying
it's whatever stimulates. The stimulus for a quality decision can be big, it could be dramatic, or it could be trivial.
But do you think that's because that goodness, that genius, that person was always inside of you?
Oh no, absolutely.
You just needed the avenue.
Absolutely.
To let out.
No. If we're talking about, I mean, that's why we want winners win.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna paint a story of losing. Like, even before, like, I navigate. I make sure I win.
Yeah.
You know, so that's nothing new in that regard, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so how's fatherhood?
Yeah, fatherhood's brilliant, man. Yeah.
Loving it.
I mean, obsessed.
Always.
Obsessed with him. I'm obsessed with Lion. Lion is like, it's just, I want to say extension of me, but I don't know if I love me like I love Lion. You know what I mean? So then maybe it's not. Like, it's just, and just to kind of just see the world to some degree through his eyes, just kind of just invigorates life in a different way, you know? And yeah. But
how do you make sure he doesn't go through what you had to go through?
He won't, because it's financial.
Is it?
Yeah, it is financial. Like, I mean, statistics show that the data speaks towards that, you know, like, these are like poorer problems, you know? So he's already not poor, so he won't go through.
So he's good.
Yeah.
So if he comes to you one day and like, Dad, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
You're prepared to have that chat. Like, listen.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
He's gonna know who you was and who you are now.
Oh yeah, I mean, it is what it is. In the same way, I haven't hidden it from, like, my investors know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I haven't hidden it. I still have to pass whatever kind of like checks that are in place, you know, but thankfully I'm able to. But that being said, like, yeah, I'd say, I have a past, I have a history. I tend to say a colourful. I have a colourful past. You know what I mean? There's some colour there. But yeah, other than that, like, for me, it doesn't bring me shame.
Yeah.
Like, I was practically responding to my environment in the same way I practically respond today. You know, it's just that now my practical response is being held or celebrated for contributing in a, you know what I mean? So just kind of, and plus I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, if we want to really unpack it, I made that decision when I was 12 years old. Like, sue me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, really, you know, so.
Yeah. So a lot of people coming from London, South London, maybe that don't have the opportunities to be in the rooms that you've been in or, you know, sit at the tables that you've sat.
Yeah.
How did you cultivate these relationships that you have? Because, you know, we see you
with
the Richard Bransons today, number 10.
Yeah.
How were you able to kind of just get that first foot?
The first foot?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm about, timing helps, but to this day, I still have to give it, there's a miraculous tint to it. There is, I was doing something years ago where I wanted to get my idea to create the country's first therapeutic community gang rehabilitation center, and what was going on? There was was a competition of sorts or something along those lines where you kind of like, you give them your idea and they see, and then the winner gets X, Y, and Z. And what it turns out is that the only thing they were providing was the space. So I had thought that I'm gonna get like, my dream team around the table to make this thing a reality. But literally all they were willing to kind of give was space, you know? So once I had locked in the space, and even that I had to take some work on my own end to kind of really lock it in the right way. Once I had locked that in, I realized that this grand like kind of list I had created, I'm gonna have to reach out to them myself. And I mean, it was the head of like the Tory party at the time. It was the like biggest PR man in the country at the time. It was the biggest, like one of the biggest architect firms. Like it was the head of the Rothschild Bank UK Europe. It was like, I mean, it was the daft list that you can't get through to their PA. You know what I mean? And I ended up just shooting their PA a note, like, or I might go and see, oh, they worked at this company. This company is a bit smaller, and at least some years ago. And I'll shoot the current CEO a note. Oh, can you volley it over to? And I mean, out of the 12, 10 got back to me. You know, and out of the 10 that got back to me, 9 met with me on the same evening, you know, for a dinner to incubate my idea. That being said, like, I mean, that became like the first real entries in my black book. And all it's done is snowboard since then. So it just snowballed in all those different directions. As you know, like there was a British pop superstar there, so it's that direction. Then there's the like finance world direction. Then there's the politics direction, and just kind of did that. And it's just been doing that since. So
because people are afraid to shoot that first shot.
You know, I mean, I used to rock up at institutions like in their like corridors. Yeah. Like I just pull up. No, seriously, I just pull up. Like I had that, like, you know what I mean?
And I've heard that. That's the thing. A lot of people that I know that have been able to be successful in whether it be, you know, music, entrepreneurship, whatever. They have that mentality that, listen, you can't have no ego.
Yeah.
Like, embarrass yourself.
100%.
It is what it is.
Pull up.
If you get that no, you get that no.
No, pull up.
You just pull up.
I mean, what's the worst? What is the worst that can happen? Like over here, this is how I pitched it. And obviously, not everyone's can use this as their base. But I was like, on the streets, I could lose my life or my freedom. Or my sanity. I mean, here you can lose your sanity too. But I mean, like life or freedom. Yeah? Cool. In an explicit way. And then over here, all I'm going to do is lose like a contract. What risks ain't I going to take? Like, really speaking, like, I'll walk into a certain room and then, like, they're like, oh, yeah, no, I'm not feeling this. All right, cool. You know? It's like, I mean, there's no problem. You just work it. So, for me, it's like, double down on whatever you're good at. Get really good at that. So that it shows some distinction, you know? Find some common ground. And common ground can be found with anything. You know, whether it be, I don't know, from music to certain parts in culture, whether it be like I've even found common ground in adventuring and doing like mountain climbing, found huge common ground with an unlikely cast that most people wouldn't think that you could really kind of broker any meaningful connection, but I have deep connection. There's a camaraderie that's created when you go through certain like challenges, endurance challenges with characters, you know? So I mean, there's that front, any kind of way, but there is a possibility of connecting and having connections because human beings connect. No, I mean, that is what human beings do. We connect. You know what I mean? So just work it how you work it, get it how you get it, and there's no one way to skin a cat.
Yeah. Are you happy?
Am I happy? That's a big question.
Yeah.
That's a huge question. I mean, yes and no. But I feel like I'm going to continually kind of volley in that space, you know? I think it moves so fast between the yes and no that I'm just everything in between, you know? But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with where I am at professionally. I'm happy with what I'm seeing happening in the ecosystem. I'm happy with the loved ones I have around me and, you know, in that regard. I'm happy in that on that front. But I mean, maybe there's a part of me that I need to either deal with certain things or embrace certain things. You know, I'm someone that likes to change everything. Like I will bark at the moon, like, and say like daytimes should come back. Like, and you can't do that with every scenario, you know. So some things you have to just learn to accept. So I feel like maybe in the learning of acceptance that could maybe help with that part. But yeah, I'm happy.
It's the understanding that it's not all gonna happen at once either.
Yeah, no, but I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with it not happening. I mean, I got endurance. You know what I mean? I think long term. Yeah, I'm not into. I don't hit something. I think in decades. Like honestly, you know.
You know what is? I think that's a very important point to actually speak on, because
Yeah.
you mentioned initially, you said you knew it was going to take 10 years.
Yeah.
And endurance. How important is endurance?
It's everything. Forget about endurance is actually what begets momentum. Like, and momentum is like it can go quite like exponentially when like with certain moments, yeah, that it can do that to it. But ultimately, if you are consistent, like that has a creative power to it, you know, and it can just keep you like going in a certain direction, even if you don't feel like you're even going in that direction or feel great about the direction. If you consistently do the thing, it's gonna keep on pushing you in that way. And I just feel like a lot of people that ain't willing to endure, like for me, you have to endure to enjoy. Like forget about it. If you don't do it, then you don't qualify for it. Like I'll never forget. I was reading some a little while ago, and it was like a Texan saying, it was like everyone wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die. When I caught that, yeah. Nah, when I deeped it, yeah, I said, whoa, because I don't want to die, but I do want to go to heaven. And I'm like, wait a second, is this might be a thing? So I'm like, where is this living out in certain ways? You know, where am I not willing to put in a certain work or commit to a certain way of being to get something that I truly do want and I know is good? But where am I not doing that? So when I started to really scrutinize that, I started to understand that that consistency play, that endurance play, is a big part of it. Because people don't want to do the same thing every single day and it don't move. Like, I mean, I did the same thing every single day for like 2 years, and I swear the wall got thicker. Forget breakthrough. I mean, I think I saw an extra layer join that wall.
She got harder.
Come on. And I just learnt ways, and I'm like, oh, that's not the pressure point. Maybe I should tap it from here instead. Because you do learning as you're doing it consistently, you know? Because practice makes progress, you know what I mean? So I just kept on going with it. But a lot of people ain't going to do it. Like I hear people sometimes say, no, I'm not going to share with no idea with anyone. You have to write this NDA. And I'm like, any idea I've got, I'll put it on a website.
Yeah.
No problem. Because from ideation to fruition,
Yeah, it's a different.
few people embark on that journey. It is safe. Yeah. You know what I mean? Your idea is safe.
That's that thing as well. You can put an idea in front of a room full of people.
Yeah.
Not everyone's gonna have the charisma, the skills,
100%,
the knowledge,
100%
to be able to turn that an idea into something tangible.
Yeah.
So even sharing those ideas, man, I hear a lot of people, I'll tell you when it's done.
Yeah.
But you can tell me, but I can't. If it's for you, it's for you. I
No,
can't
100%, 100%.
You know
and what they don't realize, in part of the sharing is part of the doing.
Yeah.
Because then you might share it with me, and then they might stimulate me to be able to say, you know, I might be able to help you in this way, or I know someone else that can help you in this way, or if you thought about doing this, it helps to inform the whole thing. That keeping it secret thing, I'm not with it. No, honestly, I just don't. I don't think it makes any sense. I used to be, because I'm African.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah. So everything you gotta hide until, you know. Yeah, you know what I mean. You lie or Which listen, I'm not putting down those things, but for me, I ain't scared, man. God, that's long.
There's either enough room for everybody to do it, or it's either I can't be you.
Yeah.
I haven't walked your shoes.
Simple.
I haven't lived your experiences.
And vice versa.
You know, so I will have to figure out what works for me, and you figure out what works for you.
Yeah.
And I just think that's what it is. But if you're surrounded by the right people, sharing your ideas gives you, opinions.
Yeah,
Open new doors, open
100%.
different things.
It's important.
Yeah.
Like, I actually don't know how people are and that's why I think a lot of people ain't getting there also, especially in our community. There's something big around not sharing share. Like, I'm like really share. And I mean, and not just that, I mean, even in terms of there's something called co-investing, yeah? That helps to de-risk things. Like, sharing helps. The collective effort helps. Let's do it is easier than I'll do it.
Yeah.
Like, the team thing works. It really does. It's not just created for no reason. Like, the team stuff really works. We just need to work it right.
Yeah.
And we can make, like, especially that there's not too many of us, and I'm talking about Black Brits explicitly, like, we should be able to do a lot more collaborating.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't collaborate, or all the time you can't collaborate if you don't share.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like,
Just off of that team, how did you build your team? How did you go about identifying?
do you know what it is? I weren't always the best at actually I'm lying. On the streets I was good at it.
Yeah.
I could identify potential.
Yeah.
And I would always, like an academy, I always bring it out and bring it up. It's just better that way. It's like how they do it in football. When you come through the academy, like, the player has that commitment and loyalty to those that kind of help them take them from maybe 0 to 5. You know what I mean? So by the time they're getting closer to 10, they've got that rapport, and then they don't get charged like maybe the most commercial rate for it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I was able to do that. Then I identified those that basically had what I possessed, and I could identify it earlier. So I could identify that they carry what I carried at an earlier stage. So if they do carry this thing, and they might not be in the same position as me, but if it's stimulated, they're gonna be able to grow into that sort of role, then I would rock with them. So I was able to identify the potential. That being said, I kept on looking for those that were like me.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as diverse. And it didn't need to be back then, It kind of happened because it's geographical, mainly. It just happened that there was people in my group that were different to me. But if it wasn't, it was purely up to me and it weren't geographical, I'd probably go everywhere and just get people that was like me. But it needs that diversity to work and to really flourish. That being said, when I embarked on like what I refer to as like my mainstream kind of like commute, I did that on my own. Just no one would believe me. I had no believers. Like,
that's the thing.
Literally.
Are people investing in your idea, or are they investing in you?
Currently, or
then and now?
Then no, now yeah.
They invest in you, or they're investing in the idea?
I mean, one of the same. I don't think anyone invests in not. Let me not say that. I feel as if it's person, product, placement. And when I say placement, I mean like maybe market product fit. In terms of like, can I see a market for this thing? Is it gonna work? But I mean the actual product itself, is it robust? Does it serve? All right, cool, it does. But then mainly the person who's having the idea that's gonna execute, especially if it's a twinkle in the eye, you're gonna need to believe in them. So I mean, people believe in the business, the idea, proposition, and myself.
So just to wrap it up as soon. The VC. What is it and how does it work?
So I mean, we are a venture capital fund, that is black led and invests in black founders explicitly. So I mean, in terms of Europe, we're the first of our iteration to be black led and to invest in black founders explicitly. For Black Brits, that being said, we're a £10 million fund, of which we've just raised 6 million. So we draw down on first close, and actually it will be announced I'm not sure when this goes live, but by the time it goes live, it will be, because it's going to be announced at 0001
Okay.
tonight. So yeah.
So how do people apply, or what are the requirements for somebody to get involved?
Yeah, I mean, so in terms of investment criteria, we'll probably get a little bit more granular, you know, but that being said, like as long as one of the founding team self-identifies as black, then you can approach us.
Okay.
That being said, tech or tech-enabled companies, because that's where we see for exponential returns, essentially. That being said, we are industry agnostic, but we have a leaning and a bias towards like deep tech, consumer, and enterprise, you know. But I mean, like, ultimately, we need to just have the conviction.
Yeah.
You know, we have to know that this is venture backable, and these surfers, because that's what you're betting on.
Yeah.
When it's early stage, like we are, because we're 200K tickets that we are writing. So it might be the first check that the founders received, you know, or founders. That being said, it's not so much on the numbers. You know, it's more an investment in the person. And this is why there's such a huge dislocation when it comes to the black entrepreneurial community and receiving venture capital or other forms of capital, because of the automatic associations that come with being black, you know, all the assumptions, you know. So obviously we don't have those same assumptions because we are black too, you know, and we understand that not one group holds the monopoly on resilience, excellence, you know, or an ability to execute, you know. But that being said, yeah, I mean, that's the criteria vaguely. You know, everyone can approach us via like socials. A DM will suffice on even like our social media pages for Black Seed. So we're on Instagram, Twitter, etc., LinkedIn, you know, and we have a website as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the last question, and then we're wrapping it up for this sweet conversation.
Come on.
3 words to anybody who is. What 3 words would you give to somebody who is about 20 years old that wants to be in your position in the next couple of years or 10 years?
3 years. For one, if you're 20 years old, you won't be in a couple years. You know,
so 10 years.
That's probably 10 years.
10 years
network. Like, yeah, network is definitely one of those words, and they should be actively networking. Like, yeah, as a verb. Yeah. I would say, I don't know if we could illegally hyphen it, but personal development as one, like, develop yourself. You know, I enter a room knowing that I've ran up volcanoes, climbed, and this is literal volcano, sorry, not metaphorically, like climbed literal mountains, like, you know what I mean? Cycled across nations, you know. I walk in knowing I've read over 300 books, you know. I walk in with that, you know, and it doesn't even matter if someone else is not aware of that. My own internal CV, I have that, you know, so I feel like they should do whatever enforces a level of esteem for themselves, you know. So maybe self-esteem rather than personal development. Work on what helps with the self-esteem. And final word would be act. And I don't mean act in terms of actor. I mean act, do. Do. You learn a lot more by doing. Forget that theory stuff. Honestly, get the information and the learnings in practice. Like, just do. Like, and do big. Like, really do big. Like, go for it. Like, everything I try to go for is daft. Makes no sense. But it edges me so much closer to impossibility than if I was thinking kind of soberly, you know, and want it to be kind of like, I don't know, moderate. I would say act big. Big acts, just kind of do. Yeah.
But
Come on.
listen, serious stuff, man. Serious stuff,
We're
bro.
here for
I
it.
appreciate it.
Nah, steady.